continued purchase of Russian oil, reportedly calling it a clear case of tariff abuse and urging restraint. The strong response came after US President Donald Trump signed an executive order placing an additional 25% tariff on Indian goods, taking the total import duty on some products to 50%. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Guo Jiakun said China's opposition to the abuse of tariffs is consistent and clear when asked about Trump's order targeting India. According to reports, the comments signal growing unease in Beijing over the United States' trade stance towards its global partners, especially when China too imports Russian oil but was spared similar penalties. Meanwhile, Indian Foreign Ministry spokesperson Randir Jaiswal has condemned the tariffs as quote-unquote unfair, unjustified and unreasonable, and warned that New Delhi would take all actions necessary to defend its economic sovereignty. Well, joining us to discuss these comments from China and the wider implications of purchases of Russian oil and US tariff action, Gerard Alfil, a finance expert who's joining us live from Dubai. Gerard, thank you ever so much for taking the time to speak with us. Let's first look at these Chinese comments. Of course, they are standing in solidarity with India on this issue, and this, of course, comes amidst conversations that are taking place with the US that have been ongoing about a potential China-US trade deal, or at least extension of the ceasefire that has previously been agreed. How big a step is this from China, given those conversations are still not complete?
Yes, this is actually quite surprising, maybe for many, because China and India had some diplomatic issues in the past. But here's the thing. China and India both represent 40% of the global population. China and India are both members of the BRICS, the Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa bloc, and both countries are the G20 members. And they want to remind, China wants to remind President Trump now that he should put the diplomatic tone on a bit more moderate level and stop threatening others, because he said they're the next ones who can be slapped with more tariffs could be China or Turkey, because also they are getting Russian oil. So here's a kind reminder, and also an olive branch, you can say, from China to India. Let's join forces and also confront the tariff route from Washington. And this is not the art of the deal, which we know from President Trump's books, but it's a bit of an escalation. And now here comes a strong response also from China, because there are already talks of a meeting between President Trump and China's paramount leader Xi Jinping. So the message is, we will not sit at the cat table here and listen to orders, but we have also a significant weight on the global stage and global economy.
Yes, absolutely. And Gerard, of course, questions have been raised by many experts about why these higher tariffs have been placed on India and not on other nations that are purchasing Russian oil. Trump has alluded to further tariffs potentially coming, but why, firstly, did he choose India first amidst 25% tariffs that have already been placed? And also, how long do you think it will take to see other tariff action?
A couple of reasons. Firstly, the U.S. economy is already struggling. There's some overheating here, and I think President Trump wants to distract from the fact that the domestic economy struggles. I'll give an example. In June, home sales in the U.S. declined by 2.7%. The New York Times has reported 2 weeks ago. And this is a bad sign, because normally June is the late spring buying season for home in the home sales market. Number one. Number two, if you look at the charts of the Dow Jones index, it has been rising for 5 years now. President Trump is a businessman. He knows that this cannot go for long. And also, one indicator I observe is the Dow Jones Transport Index, which has been in a sideways stage, has not really been rising in the last 12 months, and also since the start of the year. All goods which are produced have to be transported as well. So when the Dow Jones Transport Index is going sideways and is not rising any longer, that shows also there's stress in the economy. Number one. Number two, the tariffs on India are also so strong, and we can see this here in Dubai with the strong Indian population, Indian expat population, and Indian business community. India has gained enormous pace, an enormous share in the export market for the US. I give an example in pharmaceutical companies from Hyderabad in Telangana in the Indian region are producing cheaper, but at not worse quality, but sometimes even at better qualities than their peers in the US. So India has advanced many fronts in relation to exports to the US, and here President Trump wants to confront this with tariffs.
Yes, and Gerard, finally, India saying that they will respond to protect their economic integrity and security. How do you think that will play out?
India suffers from a low rupee. So the low rupee means you can export at a cheaper price, but also, again, coming back to the Dow Jones Transport Index, transporting goods means also you have to pay for the transport. Everything has its price. So the oil prices have been struggling a bit, but they are still in a quite expensive territory, $65 a barrel, Brent currently. And India is a net oil importer. Now, India will definitely, I think, also respond to the Chinese olive branch, as we discussed earlier, and probably join forces and they might speak here with one voice to confront the tariff route from President Trump. I think this would make sense. And also Indian business here in Dubai, they do business with China and they say, we don't care about politics, what is going on in the background, business is business. And India and China might join forces now for a longer period of time.
Gerard, Al, Phil, thank you ever so much for your insights. As always, so much to keep an eye on surrounding these tariff policies from the US, specifically related